What we're going to be getting into in the next story is this new book that's coming out by Howard Blum. We're going to be talking about this. For you guys that are not aware of the Idaho 4 case, the Idaho 4 case is where 4 college kids were brutally murdered in November of 2022. These 4 college kids, about 6 weeks after that murder, a dude by the name of Bryan Kohberger was arrested. I'm a firm believer that Bryan Kohberger is innocent. However, there's been one guy who's wrote on Substack articles, and now he's written a book. This guy is Howard Blum. He seems to have a lot of information that the average normie motherfucker doesn't have. Now, there's a reason for that, though, is because there was a gag order put on the case relatively quickly after the proceedings began, after Kohberger was arrested. And so, what this man has done is he has written a book. It comes out Tuesday. And yes, I'm actually going to buy it because I want to know what he's saying. Well, what I'm about to show you will tell you what he's saying. This is a man that at one point in time questioned whether Bryan Kohberger was guilty. Now he seems to be all in with the police, all in with all of this. And once again, whether Kohberger did this or not, I think ultimately what has to be asked is, do they have enough evidence to convict him? So here's what we're doing. I'm gonna show you this clip from, I believe it was News Nation, maybe it wasn't, ABC News. And what we're going to be looking at and listening to is Howard Blum here on this new book. And the question I really have about this book is this basically fiction or nonfiction? Anyone that's read the Howard Blum articles, which I have, know this sounds like a fiction writer. But as this case heats up, we're probably still a year away from trial on Bryan Kohberger. I'm going to go ahead and go smoke. I'm going to let you guys listen to this, and I'll give you commentary when I come back. But this is in regards to the Idaho 4 case and Howard Blum. Let's check it out. I'll be right back.
A year and a half after the brutal killing of 4 college students, Xana Kernodle, her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Gonzalez. Families and friends still awaiting justice as a trial has yet to be set for Bryan Kohberger.
I hope people understand how all these kids that were a part of this were doing everything right. And they were going to be the type of people that you wanted be your neighbor.
On November 13th of 2022, a quadruple homicide rocked the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho, and the nation. It made headlines everywhere.
Now to the investigation into the deaths of 4 college students from the University of Idaho. There is news tonight, chilling new images.
It also took over social media with theories.
All right, this is what I think happened in the Idaho murders.
Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you've heard of the University of Idaho murders.
As the victims' families and friends waited nearly 7 weeks for a suspect to be arrested.
The arrest of a 28-year-old man in Pennsylvania in connection with the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho students.
Now, new reporting about the murders detailed in a new book by award-winning author Howard Blum.
You come to the conclusion that based on your research, your interviews, you believe that Bryan Kohberger did it.
I believe that Bryan Kohberger did it, but there are 2 parts to that question. The first part is, can he be convicted in a court of law? And I think that's a much higher mountain to climb.
When the Night Comes Falling, based in part on Blum's early conversations with the Moscow Police Department before the judge issued a gag order shrouding the investigation in secrecy.
I was able to reconstruct this night when everything seems to fall apart.
It all began November 12th, 2022, a Saturday night in college. Friends headed to local bars and parties. Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogen, newly 21, went to the popular campus bar, the Corner Club, around 10 p.m.
These 2 girls were just there for each other.
Steve Gonzalez is Kaylee's heartbroken father.
They went to dances together.
Yeah, just a good, wholesome friendship that you hope every child has. And you're grateful that they have that.
Investigators say the
Let me say this in regards to Howard Blum. Blum, whatever the fuck his name is. As you'll hear in this, as this story progresses, Howard Blum claims to have information that clearly, in my opinion, has been made up, unless he has some sort of inside source within Kohberger's family. And to me, I don't believe that to be the case. If I was on trial for murder, I don't give a fuck. My family would not just be talking to random journalists. I would like to hope not, right? Unless there is some sort of money offered, and then it goes back to poisoning the well. You gotta remember, a jury has not been seated yet. Trial has not begun yet. There's a gag order for a reason. Now, the reason that gag order exists is because they don't want the well to be poisoned. They don't want the jury to come in with some preconceived notion that they're hearing off television or off some guy's book. But that's all this is going to do. The claims that he makes here, and I'll show you, this is just to poison the well, which in my opinion gives Bryan Kohberger reason for appeal, even if he does. They still have not granted Bryan Kohberger a change of venue. None of this. Bryan Kohberger, in my opinion, if he's found guilty right now with the little amount of evidence and all the fuckery that's went into this case, he would win. The case would be reversed on appeal immediately. I truly believe that.
two young women left the corner
What's up,
club
Roger?
around 1:30 a.m. And by 1:40, Kaylee and Maddie were seen laughing and taking pictures as they ordered from a food truck in downtown Moscow.
I could just tell just by her body language that she was definitely feeling pretty good. And I wish I could have been there and given him a hug.
At 1:56 a.m.,
That's a strange thing to say. That's a strange thing for a dad to say. Hey, she looked like she was drunk as fuck, having a great time, because that's what she was. Anybody that saw that video at the Grub Hub, or whatever the fuck it's called, the Grub Truck, everybody that saw it knows that she was drunk as shit. That's a weird thing for a dad to say. Just in my opinion. Keep in mind, this is the night she got murdered. We have no clue who actually murdered her. It could have been the dude Ethan got in a fight with at the frat house. It could have been anybody. I believe that being that intoxicated could have been part of the reason that led up to all of this. I don't know. But it's just a weird thing for a dad to like, yeah, man, look, she was feeling really good. She was drunk as shit. What's up, Candace? How you doing, beautiful? Christy says, Blum's book will only make the crazy come out more on YouTube. That's exactly right. And you know, I take a lot of heat for not posting more Idaho 4 content. There's not a lot of activity happening. I get it. A lot of other people are going to create content out of nothing. I do appreciate the people like Harsh Reality, because what Harsh does is, you know, he keeps it alive with different theories and he keeps his videos small. He's not doing long exposés when there's really no goddamn news out there. But you'd be surprised. I see people still doing 2-3 hour streams every single day on the Idaho 4. That's not possible because there's not enough Idaho 4 news to do a 2-3 hour stream. That's wild shit. There's just not. There never is.
the pair arrived home. According to authorities, their roommate, Xana Kernodle, and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, both 20 years old, were at a fraternity party earlier that same night, but also returned to that off-campus home by about 1:45 a.m. Hours later,
Good morning,
all
kitty.
four were dead. The other two roommates were already home and allegedly sleeping. They were unharmed.
Allegedly sleeping, and they were unharmed. Now, I want you to listen because there's some things that's about to be said here. Now, remember, Dylan Mortensen was up 504. And the other one, Bethany, they waited 8 hours to call the police. My belief is because they were getting rid of the drugs. I know how that kind of shit happens, you know? I'd be sitting there looking, I'm like, well, they're already dead. We got this dope around. We got to get rid of this shit. So I'm not even necessarily holding it against the survivors because they're already dead. There ain't nothing you can do. They're already fucking dead. There's no sense in you going to jail for some shit because you got some ecstasy or whatever in the house. You know what I mean? So I'm not even necessarily blaming them. But what you're about to hear is the bullshit surrounding this when it comes to the survivors. We'll get to that. They were up texting each other during and after the murders. You'll see.
Has been released to the public, but Blum's book now claiming to fill in some of the gaps that night.
In your reporting, you come to the conclusion that Maddie was the target in this.
The authorities, in their mind, are convinced that the suspect came in through the sliding door on the second floor of the house. Right once you...
Now keep in mind, this is all information that has not been released by the officers or by the state of Idaho because there's a gag order. You have to take everything this man is saying with a grain of salt. Yes, it's believed that whoever killed him came through that sliding door. However, is it really confirmed? What state agency has said it? And what paperwork is that stated? Because there's not any. We all assume that's how he got in. But you got to remember, there was conflicting reports. There was reports that at 9 o'clock that morning, that the front door, a neighbor saw the front door just wide open. Just wide open. So which one's the truth? What Howard Blum is saying, Blum, whatever the fuck, about the sliding door, or the neighbors' reports initially? I've seen entire news reports on this, that the front door was wide open at 8:45, 9 o'clock. Which one's accurate?
You enter the kitchen area. There's a bedroom that Dylan Mortensen was in. On the left-hand side, the right-hand side was Zaina's bedroom. If he was just on a killing spree, it would have been natural, instinctive, to go to one of those doors. Instead,
he's right when he says that, which is exactly why I find it a little odd that Dylan and Bethany, but maybe not Bethany, but why Dylan was not killed. When you are walking into that house, I've showed, what's up, J-Dots? I've shown this over and over again. If you come in through that side door, exactly, Chris Lynn, the first door you come face to face with is the room that Dylan Mortensen was in. Now keep in mind that they said over and over and over again, and it was even in the PCA, the affidavit, probable cause, that Dylan Mortensen opened that door and yelled out no less than 2 times. I want you to think of how small of an environment that place actually is. I want you to think of something. If you opened up the door because you heard someone you thought playing with the dog or whatever, and you yelled out, "Hey, y'all, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to sleep." You're telling me, and at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that the killer wouldn't have heard that? You're telling me that the killer was so focused on Matty Mogan, which, by the way, he killed 3 other people other than Matty Mogan, that he would hear a woman yelling from right below the stairs and wouldn't say, "Uh-oh, I didn't know that bitch was there." And then you have to understand that her and Bethany were texting each other. You don't find that a little odd? What's up, Amanda? You don't find that a little odd? So they weren't texting the other broads? Because Because listen, we know that Xana was up at that time with the DoorDash or whatever on TikTok at 4:12, ticker-tockering. So you're telling me 4 people were murdered, stabbed brutally. We have definitive evidence that 3 people in that house was awake. Xana, Bethany, and Dylan. Dylan wasn't just awake. She was yelling out the door, opened the door, saw the killer face to face. And nothing? Who stops at killing 4 and leaves a witness?
Instead, he goes up this narrow staircase and he turns directly into Maddie's room. And I think
we don't know
Maddie
that, though.
Was his target.
We do not know that he turned directly into Maddie's room. How do we not know that the killer didn't turn right and open the door where the dog was at first? This weird assumption that Blum is doing, that we know he came in through the back door and went straight up the stairs right into Maddie's room. How do we know that? How do we know that he didn't look in the old room that used to be Kaylee's, and see the dog was like, okay, they're not in here, and then went over? Do you see what I'm saying? Where is the assumption? That's all this is an assumption. Well, Kohberger came in and went straight up to Maddie. Do we know that? Do we absolutely know that Kohberger didn't kill the other 2 first? Do we absolutely know that Kohberger didn't look in Kaylee's room first? That's why I say all of this shit is made up. He is abiding in wait, no doubt about it.
Sources tell both Blum and ABC News that the 2 surviving roommates were using their phones to communicate during and after the murders.
During and after. So during the murders, we have Xana on TikTok, just got her DoorDash or whatever the fuck. Uber Eats, whatever the fuck. Jack in the Box. We have Xana with her dinner, her second dinner, because she ate pizza at midnight. We have Xana with a second dinner scrolling TikTok. And by the way, that food was not in her room. That food from Jack in the Box was not seen in her room. So, let's use common sense. Where likely was Xana? Do you think this pretty thin woman took that food at 4 o'clock into her room, smashed it, was watching TikTok, and then took the bag back out in the middle of the murder? Not just that. We have the other 2 chicks texting each other during and after. None of those chicks, when they were hearing noises, texted Xana or Kaylee or Mogan. I'm not buying any of this shit. To me, if Howard Blum is telling the truth, this makes it more suspicious. Because that means 3 people were definitely awake. When in the original report said that bitch Dylan ate it. That's funny. The original report said, if you look at the PCA, that these people were asleep. And that house not all that dark. No, you got to remember, the Good Vibes light, neon light, was right there next to Dylan. It was on the other side of the wall. So when the killer was walking, let's say from Xana's room to go back out the side door, he would have came face to face with Dylan. No question. No question. It wasn't as dark as people think. That light would have illuminated that entire area, in my opinion.
according to testimony that was made to the grand jury.
The food was found in the kitchen. I don't know if it was unopened or not, though. I don't know if it was unopened. Because I believe the cup looked like it had had some drink taken out of it. Let me see. Let me see if I can go back and see that image. Food image. Idaho. 4 murders. Because here's the problem with this. Here's the problem. Is this what we're looking at here? Let's see here. Let's see if I can. I'm not even sure. Let me be honest. First of all, these motherfuckers live like shit. If that was the food order, that order's been open. That bag has been open. Am I right or am I wrong? If that's the order from that night. And that's the question that, this is the one everybody's talking about. This picture right here. Now take a look. Does this bag look open or not? God, these women are so fucking nasty. Look at this house. Does that DoorDash bag, whatever, look open or closed? That food could be from another day. It can be, but this is what everybody... There's been confirmation that the DoorDash or whatever came that night. If that's the order that's open. But once again, like this is the New York Post saying a Jack-in-the-Box bag inside the murder house with a tag reading Xana, which is believed to have been Kernodle's final meal. Now, I don't know if that was or not. You know, when you're looking at a house this nasty, you know, I don't really know. I don't really know. I'm saying this, these are some dirty bitches, though. I'm being honest. These are some dirty bitches. This is a disgusting looking house. But yeah, it was a DoorDash delivery driver, unidentified. They eliminated him, so it was DoorDash. And this seems to be, you know, described as the meal she got that night at 4 o'clock. What I really don't get is people, creators paying money to buy this crap. What, you mean the book? You mean the book? I'm going to buy the book. I want to see what he has to say. I'm going to buy the book. I mean, how much can it be? 20, 30 bucks? You know what I mean? I'll probably buy the book. If it's easy to obtain. Like if I got to go on some sort of dumbass waiting list, I ain't going to buy it. Dash and killing about the same time on real. Yeah. No, the DoorDash driver got there at 4 a.m. They say the killer got there for like 4:02. To me, if that was the DoorDash order, that looks open. That looks open in the kitchen. Here's my thing. In my opinion, if she ate in her room, she would have took the bag in the room. You should do a reading along? Yeah, we'll do that. Exactly, Chris Lynn. Listen, though. Common sense says that if she would have been eating in her room, she would have took the food into her room. The bag. Like, I want you to think about this. Like, there's my kitchen. My room is right here. What is the likelihood that I would sit the DoorDash bag on the counter? I would grab all of my food items out of the DoorDash bag and take it over into my room. What's the likelihood? Why wouldn't I just take the bag into my room? Do you see what I'm saying? The fact that the bag is sitting there open, tells me that she did not eat in her room. So we got 3 women awake. Why leave the cup on the counter? Wouldn't that also be left in the room? Yeah. The clown boy says it was Sweater Guy from the food truck. Yeah, he's had quite a few theories. He's had quite a few theories. So back to what I was saying here. You know, there's a lot. This is going to be one of the greatest trials ever, and most entertaining trials ever.
The 2 girls were communicating. They were texting one another, not just after, but at one point during
the murders.
During the killing.
During the murders, we got one bitch eating Jack in the Box. We got 2 other bitches texting each other. We got dogs barking. Motherfuckers opening the door, yelling, "Yo, hey, shut the fuck up!" And even coming face to face with the Kohberger or the killer, whoever it is. And we still had survivors that weren't bothered at all. And then they waited 8 hours.
Sources close to Kohberger's family telling Blum his father Michael was on edge as he picked up Bryan from school that winter.
He's been reading the headlines.
And I want you to think. I want you to think about something. I want you to think about this. Remember, there was a thud loud enough for a camera outside the house to hear it? Think about that. And possibly by it, but everybody seems to be reporting that was the DoorDash meal from that night, was Jack in the Box. Even Jack in the Box themselves confirmed it, that she ate Jack in the Box that night. But let me tell you, here's the thing. Guys, if the outside camera heard that, I want you to think something. Imagine 4 o'clock in the morning. Listen, if there was any noise, even outside my door, I'd be able to hear it. Imagine in your house. In your house. People are brutally being murdered. There's thuds, there's all this shit. Imagine that. 4 people. You're telling me you couldn't hear at any point in time 4 motherfuckers being slaughtered in your own house? Come on, man. And by the way, they were all awake. If what Blum is saying is true, the only 2 survivors were alive and awake and texting each other during the murders. And we got Xana just eating a goddamn chicken sandwich and ticker-tockering.
He knows that 4 students were killed just 12 miles from his son's house.
Oh, yeah.
He knows what the trouble
Let's get to this goofy
has.
shit. Let's get to this goofy shit.
In the killings.
Sources close to Kohberger's family telling Blum his father Michael was on edge as he...
Sources close to Kohberger's family said that Michael was on edge. He didn't seem on edge at all here. He just seemed like a normal motherfucker. He's a little goofy, but he didn't seem on edge. So who would be a source close to Kohberger's dad that told Howard Blum what Kohberger's dad's feelings were? We'll continue.
Picked up Bryan from school that winter.
He's been reading the headlines. He knows that 4 students were killed just 12 miles from his son's house. He knows what a troubled son he has. The Moscow police issue a bolo.
Where's the evidence that the son was troubled? Where is the evidence that Bryan Kohberger was troubled? Agree, JB. He could hear whispering, but nothing else. Exactly. Daughter. That's the only possibility. And guys, here's the truth. He'll get into the sister in a minute. have you guys noticed how they're trying to keep the family tree lineage names private? They keep refusing to give Bryan Kohberger in the defense all the details of the DNA, the lineage DNA. I wonder if what is that psychiatrist sister of his or whatever? I wonder if that is the entire way Bryan Kohberger got caught up in this at all. I wonder if that busybody, nosy bitch of a sister of Kohberger's said, hey, I kind of think my brother might have did this. And she reached out to the feds. I wonder if that's what happened. If this entire case wasn't because of good investigating, but because somebody's sister said, hey, that kind of sounds like my brother. I wonder if that's what happened. You might be right, Baya. You might be right.
Stop order on a car that is a white Hyundai Elantra. He realizes my son drives a 2015
he didn't realize none of that
Hyundai
shit.
Elantra.
He just made that
And
up.
according to Blum sources, Bryan's own sister approached their dad, voicing her suspicions about Bryan.
What was that conversation like?
She's a family psychologist.
How would he know any of this? The only way he can know any of this, exactly, she was prior to murder, is if the sister is the fucking person talking to Blum. What's up, Lily White? The only way that dude could know any of this information he's saying right now is if that sister is the person talking. Because think about it. They're talking about personal feelings of the father. They're also talking about a personal conversation that probably only existed between the sister and the daughter and the father. Process of elimination, simple, would mean that Kohberger's sister has to be the one. Has to be the one.
And
if any of this is
she
true,
knows her brother has had problems. She goes to Michael, and she says, Dad, in effect, we have a real problem. I'm starting to believe that Bryan could be involved in these killings.
Right.
And what does Michael do? He can't confront it. He just turns around.
Yo, let me give a shout out real quick. Baya sent 10. She said, come on, people, let's roll this tip job. Tip job, Baya. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you, beautiful. Appreciate you. It's early, but I appreciate you, Baya. Straight up. Thank you, beautiful. I just now saw that one. Morning, Jack. Beetlejuice says she's still mad he stole her phone 10 years ago. Yeah. And wouldn't that suck if Bryan Kohberger, thank you very much, Baya. Wouldn't that suck if Bryan Kohberger's this entire thing was because he had some fucking sister that said, hey, that sounds like my brother. What if you were wrong, bitch? What if you was wrong? And then the feds and the Idaho police is working backwards, and they're just making things fit because they needed to open up that school for that next semester in January that year. Why do you think the arrest was made on December 30th? Was it 30th or 28th? Something like that. I think it was December 30th. They had a winter semester they needed to get to.
Walks away.
Shortly after, police arrested Bryan Kohberger on December 30th, 2022. The Kohberger family not commenting on the claims in Blum's book. His former public defender in Pennsylvania, Jason Labar, saying, I find it brazen that such an esteemed author would publish a book based on multiple layers of speculation. Assumptions, and presumptions, while Bryan Kohberger, veiled in innocence, has yet to have his trial.
Exactly. And that's what it all boils down to right there, right just before classes resume. Exactly. I wouldn't say a motherfucking word if I knew it was my brother either. And I think, look, man, I think most of us, like even if you suspected it was your brother, we'd be like, hey, bro, we'd have that conversation in private. We wouldn't be like, hey, 911. it might be my brother. Most of us wouldn't do that. I'm being serious. So also keep in mind, Blum says that he had them sources back then, but now it's said that the Kohberger family won't talk to Blum at all, or won't comment at all on what Blum is saying. Remember, there's a gag order in this case.
While Blum details Kaylee's father's tireless pursuit of answers, the Gonzalez family telling ABC News they have never spoken with Mr. Blum about the contents of his book, and they call it fiction.
Yeah, what there was is it was the aunt. It was the aunt that lived in California. She hadn't seen Kohberger in a very, very long time. And her only real comment was that Kohberger was weird because he wouldn't eat off pots that meat was cooked on. Yeah, vegans are fucking weirdos. That doesn't mean vegans are killers. Just like the fat bitch that fucked him off of Plenty of Fish or whatever it was years ago. He was so weird. He was touching me and rubbing my shoulders. Shut up, bitch. You watched 2 movies with the dude. We know what you were there for. You're probably lying because you're married now. And so you don't want to know that you fucked Bryan Kohberger. But that fat pink-headed bitch, she was on that bullshit too. But what it was, I believe, it was his aunt in California. She said it was weird because he didn't want to eat off pots that had meat in it. Once again, it's not a killer. And by the way, every dude that tried to get some pussy by trying to massage or tickle a girl, dude, that's what it was, tickling. When you done came over to Netflix and chill with that motherfucker and watched 2 movies, I'd be tickling you by the end of the first movie. I'm not Bryan Kohberger. I'm not a psycho. There's not a chick sitting here. Especially if you stay for a second movie. If you come over to my house to watch a movie and you enjoy yourself so much, you're like, yeah, well, I'll watch a second movie with you. We're fucking. We're going to have sex. That's why I don't believe that chick at all. She sat and watched 2 movies with that motherfucker in his living room. She sucked his dick at least. She's lying. She's lying. Says Jews wouldn't eat off that pan. Exactly. Of course it's foreplay. It doesn't make Kohberger weird. Yeah, I think the vegan shit is weird. But that's not like... when I think of vegans, I think of pussies. I don't think, of them being psychopathic killers.
A version made up by him relying on sources that have no responsibility or duty to speak the truth.
In May of last year, at his arraignment, Kohberger stood silent.
Your Honor, we will be standing silent.
Because Mr. Kohberger is standing silent, I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each charge.
There's no real rhyme or reason for you to stand silent. If you truly believe yourself to be not guilty, then say it. If you want to take a plea, then say it. But standing silent doesn't stop the proceedings. It doesn't move it forward.
And that's another thing. Most people don't make it through the first movie. I want you to think of something. What are the odds that they sat there throughout that whole first movie and didn't touch, kiss, nothing? Okay, maybe. But her saying, yeah, I'll stay and watch another movie with you, that is a woman's way of saying, you can play with me, you can have some. Because if he was so creepy, no one is going to stay. And let me tell you another secret. If a woman is coming to your house to watch the movie, instead of you taking her to the movies, trust me, what's up, Ginger? She already planned on fucking you. Women know what the Netflix and chill thing is. And I'm like, hey, baby, you want to come over? What's up, Bianca? Get a couple drinks, watch some Netflix, watch a couple movies. Every woman in the world knows that if they come, they're going to come. There's not a woman that dumb that believes that if she comes to a man's house to watch multiple movies at nighttime, there's not a woman in the world that doesn't believe that there's going to be some shit going down. The women that don't want shit to go down, they'll be like, hey, how about we go out to the movies? Or how about we go out? Every woman that doesn't want to fuck would recommend that. They'd be like, no, I'm not coming during the night. You're going to try some shit. And the answer is no. Every woman.
Investigators claim DNA evidence and surveillance footage, plus cell phone records, all link Kohberger to the murders. But his attorney maintains that he had no connection to the victims.
Kohberger has been held at the Latah County Jail in Moscow, Idaho since early 2023, while his team builds their case, claiming he's innocent.
When will the trial take place? You know, that's the question that the defense does not want to be answered.
Bullshit.
Their strategy seems to be delayed.
Bullshit. This is why he's not even remotely fucking credible. What do you mean their strategy is to delay? The prosecution wasn't handing over discovery, so who's the motherfucker delaying? If you haven't touched me by the time the first movie is over, I'm not staying for a second one. Exactly. Women know. And because women know, as I've said a million times, women know within the first 5 minutes of seeing you if they would fuck you or not. Every woman in this chat room right now knows whether they would fuck me or not. It's just the truth. Every woman knows that. So if I say, hey, we'll come over and watch some movies, every woman in this chat room knows at that very moment in time, well, if I go watch these movies with this dude, we're fucking probably. Every woman knows that. Prosecution isn't even ready from saying it herself. No, exactly. But this motherfucker's saying that Kohberger's stalling.
Delay. There's a wisdom that lawyers often say, if you have the facts, go into the courtroom and pound them. If you don't have the facts, pound the table. Well, Bryan Kohberger's defense is doing a lot of table pounding.
A hearing next week could finally set a date for Bryan Kohberger's trial to begin.
Oh, that's on the 31st, ain't it?
Our thanks to Kana. When the Night Comes Falling is out Tuesday.
I think that's on the 31st. I think. Let me see here. Is that right? No. Let me see. I do think that, that's a daybell case down there. All right, there we go. Temporary order sealing, fourth supplemental response, order setting hearing. I think this is it. I think this is the 31st. Nope, June 27th. They'll be addressing scheduling dates, pretrial motions. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so on the 27th, that's only 5 days away. First date we went to a buffet, I knew. Hooked up, been together 40 years. Yeah. It's just the way it works. We would have to fuck early in the movie or I'm asleep, but that's just me. I cannot watch movies. No, I hear you there. That would tell me. So where Lisa's fucked up is I already know Lisa's game. If Lisa agrees to watch a movie with me, I know she just wants to suck dick because she just said it. I can't stay awake to movies. So if Lisa says, yeah, I'll come watch a movie, I already know that just means she wants to fuck. So thanks for the warning. Thanks for the notification. Ginger says, just waited years to consummate it. I knew Mr. Hitler in about 10 seconds. Yeah, people know. People know. People know. 100% people know. All right, so that's the end of the Kohberger shit. We got all kinds of shit going on with this. So when it comes to this book, yeah, I'm going to get it. I shouldn't put any money in this man's pocket. I shouldn't. I shouldn't put any money in this dude's pocket at all for any reason. But I'm going to. Because I'm interested in the subject matter.
This morning, new report.
Yeah, we already seen that. So we got some more interesting shit coming. We got another crime story. We got a few of them, actually. This one is going to be something that makes you sick to your stomach. This one will. Every time Hitler and I watch movies that leads to something, yeah. I'll be honest, though. I guess it depends on the relationship. The longer I'm with someone, the less it leads to anything. Like, I'm just leave me alone. Let me finish watching the movie. But then to be like, if me and you just started fucking, or I've never fucked you before, yeah, we're not gonna make it through the movie. But now I can watch movies and shit with some. I can watch movies and shit with chicks that I've been with for a while, all the time. Because I'm just a different person. Once I've fucked you a few times, it's not really not that exciting to me anymore. It's just not. Unless you're just extraordinarily gifted at some shit. Just the truth. All right, guys. So here's what we're going to do. Before we get in this other story, I'm going to go take another, it said most sicker than books or movies today. Sick fucking people today. Yeah. All I have to do is wink at them and then it's on. Damn, bio. There you go. That's a long time to be married. You've been married like 40 years. I couldn't imagine still fucking the same person 40 years. I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine it. That's wild. That's definitely wild. Now TV shows, we watch all the way through seasons. Yes, exactly. No, exactly. I just started American Horror Story again. I tend to watch that with every chick at least once. We're already up to season 4 and, special set of skills. There you go, Chris Lynn. No, exactly. It's the way it works. Some wild shit. Hold on. Let's see here. All right, guys, what we're going to get into now. Let me see. Let me see. Here's what we're going to do. Actually, it's called love. Yeah, I can love somebody, though, Kitty, and not necessarily... I can love a lot of people. Being sexually overwhelmed to where I gotta have you and I can't make it through this movie, that's a different thing. Kathy sent $1.69. She said we need a 69 in the tip jar from me and Hitler and the cats. Thank you so much.